welcome to NDTV Auto. Mercedes is launching its flagship EV, EQS Maybach, and I have Mr. Santosh Iyer to talk more about
for joining us.
Thank you so much. Your EQS Maybach, every time we hear that name, it is prestigious. How big is this market for EV, completely luxurious product?
So let me start with Maybach itself. We started introducing Maybach a couple of years back with the S-Class. Then we have the GLS Maybach. It's a paparazzi car. If you know, the who's in India is on the car. And I'm happy to say that India is in the top 10 markets in the world for Maybach. So that's a big step. We are the fastest growing market in the world for Maybach. So therefore, Maybach as a brand, I think, has a lot of lovers in India. Shift to electric. I think the EQS SUV Maybach is the first electric Maybach assets from our portfolio, and I think clearly even in India there was a lot of request. The trigger point was when we introduced the EQG. We have not yet launched the car, but we said that we will open up the bookings for a car which is around 3 crores. We already have more than 80 customers who have booked the EQG. Oh. So that clearly shows a lot of demand at the top end segment for electric cars as well. On the Maybach coming here, our customers on S-Class as well as the GLS Maybach customers, they always were asking us for this option because globally the moment we launched it. So we feel surely more than triple digit should happen easily with this car is our feeling. Of course, I think the product is fantastic. It ticks all the boxes for the customers. So yeah, the paparazzi has another car to now click.
Yeah, but this EV has been pretty good for you in India till now. Your EV portfolio is pretty wide now. What is the kind of growth you're seeing? Because internationally we have started hearing some slowdown in growth coming in the EV segment. But what's happening in India in the luxury EV segment?
Okay, so firstly, the international stories, because I think a lot of consumers get distracted what's happening because there is a slowdown. EV is an expensive product to start with, and therefore it's a bit dependent on the taxation or incentives. Any part of the world, be it the US or Europe or same in India. So in parts of world where incentives are withdrawn because of pressures in the government, their budget availability, there is definitely you see a direct impact on sales. Coming to India, last year our penetration of EV was 2.5%, 2.5% to the total sales. This year H1 we are already at 5%. So we have almost doubled our penetration on EVs. I think it's too early stages because it's not just about us. I think the entire ecosystem, because if all the OEMs start offering EVs now, the voice to the market is singular, the narrative is the same on EVs. I am sure the adoption will increase. It's an expensive car, expensive technology, and therefore there is definitely this leap of faith sometimes required by customer to shift here. It needs a lot of persuasion, explanation, but we also see in our segment consumers who have driven EVs in US or Europe, then they are very no-brainer. They just shift because they are well convinced about EV. But then the first time buyers to EV, that's a big leap of faith. Again, in our portfolio today, the EQS sedan is the best-selling EV actually, in that segment that we sell here. So therefore, clearly top-end customers are a bit more, I would say, open to take risk. They are able to take that leap of faith and say fine. Also, intra-city travel is much lesser. The EQS SUV Maybach that we launch now is having a range of more than 600 kilometers. Real world also, let's say 500. And these customers won't do so much intra-city. They have chargers at home. So technically...
And multiple cars.
And multiple cars as well. So I think for them, it's also a statement. It's an intent. Of course, many would have the Maybach. Now I have an EV in the Maybach. So I'm sure that way the adoption should also increase. And it's better to come from top. A lot of customers follow, these celebrities, the icons, the industry. So I am sure, I think for us, EQGs, the Maybach, the EQS SUV Maybach are the right products to get the penetration in the long run.
You mentioned the EQG. When can we see that on Indian roads? Because Internet is definitely very excited about it.
I have 80 odd customers who have already booked who are behind us. We are trying for end of the year, if not early next year. But we are trying to still get the cars in.
I'm waiting to do the 360-degree
Wow, the G-turn. Yes. No, most of our customers. But we are trying, if successful, end of this year or early next year.
One thing that really works in luxury SUVs, luxury EV space is the fact that there is a depreciation benefit. Do you think that's something that really propels? And what are the numbers? What kind of growth are you looking at when we talk about growth, EV
So,
luxury segment?
firstly, most of our customers, around more than 80% of our customers buy the cars in company names in general, and because they can claim depreciation on cars, therefore September is a big month for buying cars. On the other side, EV has a much higher depreciation as per chartered accountants and their understanding that there are certain clauses where you can get even higher depreciation for an EV. That's surely a factor. There's a lot of people who feel that in 2 years the car is absolutely free in my books, 3 years. So I'd rather take the risk and then I get into the EV space. So I think these are incentives. The government has done their bit. To be honest, when I look at the EV space, the taxation is great. Many state governments like Bombay or Delhi, they have actually given incentives on road tax waiver. So I think they have also done their job. We would love all state governments to follow it, which is yet to happen. But in general, therefore, taxation wise, we have it there. But the challenge comes with other options. Today, if you see EVs in general, hardly 10% of outlets in India sell an EV. I'm saying sales outlets in automotive because it's just the options are too limited. And as it grows, the myths go away. All of us speak in one language. Decarbonization is the way to go.
What's the data that you have on charging? Where do people prefer charging their cars? Because it's often talked that there is no infrastructure, charging infrastructure is missing. But the data that is available internationally says that most of the people charge their cars at home.
80% of them. Actually, the public chargers are rarely used. It's mostly used for top-ups. Most of them have charging at home, and car is idle most of the time, except fleet. Private cars are idle because either in office or at home. So if you are able to have that infrastructure in either of the places, then the car charges, and you need once in a week. Especially in our segment, range is very high. Be it the EQS, the EQS SUV Maybach, the WLTP range is 600 kilometers plus.
Yeah.
Let's say real world 500, just to round it off. It's sufficient because in a day you do 100 kilometers. So 4-5 days you charge the car. I think that's sufficient when you plug in and play. The public charging is more for the confidence. If I have to get the car done, then I need to go, and people use it. I think a lot of cars, we have democratized charging. We have a wide fast charging network with our dealers. And there we have opened up, and they come for this quick charge. 30 minutes, you get the juice up to 60%, 70%, and then you can do your 3-4 days, and then maybe you don't get the time. So you need to have an option to go back to. So otherwise, it's mostly private charging at home or office.
So what is the kind of growth you're expecting in EV segment?
See, I think consumers will decide the pace of transition. That's our core belief. Because if you look at us, we have gasoline, clean diesels, hybrids, and EVs. So I have the full portfolio, and we are giving this choice to the customer. At some point of time, that's one segment that they need to think of now. Is this the time? Most of them tell me next car is an EV, not the current one. That has been there. Now comes the government. Again, there is central and then there is state. We had states like Telangana, they had zero tax, we had 10% penetration. Then they had tax on EVs, the penetration went down to 4%. So OEMs with offerings, consumer to accept, and state government to really have a consistent policy. So very difficult to put a time frame. I think we should push the agenda, we should push the narrative. It's as a corporate citizen, it's our responsibility to decarbonize. So that's our only agenda. As I said, from an option, if they are not, our sales teams are more than happy to sell combustion engine to any customer.
Okay, now let's talk about the general market. In the mass market segment, we have seen that inventories are piling up. The growth figures have started coming down. In fact, looks like it's going to be a flattish to slightly higher year. What's it looking like in luxury segment?
So firstly, for Mercedes-Benz, we changed our business model. We do direct to consumer. So there is no stock at our dealers. All stock is held by us. It's available to be seen online. So anybody wanting to check our stocks can go online and see the cars available, fully transparent. Coming to the industry view, yes, when I look at the mass market, there is a lot of stocks. But when you look at it pragmatically, this is how cars were sold pre-COVID. There was a lull season, which was always Q2, monsoons and rains. Then you had the festive season, which was September, October, November, depending on where Diwali, Dussehra is. And this season used to have the highest discounts as well to get the consumer sentiment up. and the sales were all-time high for so many years.
Yeah.
The COVID changed the narrative because the supply was lower than demand because of semiconductor, many other issues. At some point now, the production has caught up with the demand. There are enough cars available with all OEMs, and therefore there is this narrative now. What's happening? Stocks are building up, and what's there. But I'm sure if I look at Mercedes-Benz, I think we had a great August. We will also look at a good September, and I think we are still positive on a double-digit growth for us for the rest of the year.
Okay, and one big product that will probably propel your growth is the E-Class. The new E-Class is coming this year. What is your expectation from E-Class? We saw the product, it looks very, very well placed to compete in the market. What are your expectations from E-Class?
You know, for us, E-Class, when we got this car for India, the only right-hand drive long wheelbase E-Class in the world is in India, made in India and being done here. We were very clear way back when we introduced that this is our core strategic product right in the center of the segment, and we created the segment. So when the successor also has to come, we have to improve on what was doing well. So if you have seen the car, it's fully spec'd. There is absolutely no shortage on bells and whistles. It's a very driver-oriented car. So we have given the hyper screen, we have given everything for the driver to enjoy, multiple powertrain options, which we will also share. So I think customer will get the best, and we have made the best even better, I would say, with the new E-Class and the new generation. I'm sure, we have already a huge customer interest. Even on my LinkedIn, customers write to me saying, open the bookings, and we have not done it because I think we will do it at the right time so that when we have clarity by when we can give these cars to customers. Right now, our outlook is somewhere Q4, late Q4, and that's where we are aiming to start deliveries, etc. for the new E-Class.
All right, Santosh. Thank you so much for taking
Thanks for
time.
joining. Thank you very much. Thank you.